All right, thank you, Tay. Good morning, everyone. For those who don't know me yet, my name is Russ Lessard. I'm the sales manager at the West Seattle office of Berkshire Hathaway. And for today's class, I'm going to recommend everyone take notes. Take notes because with this topic today, our topic today is how do you budget your business? And for everyone, it's going to be different for everyone's business. Everyone's going to budget differently. And automated. So I recommend as well, if you have other things going on, go ahead, mute yourself. But I would like to have a lot of contribution from everyone with what do you think of when it comes to budgeting your business. Feel free to unmute yourself, write something in the chat as well. So anybody, when it comes to budgeting for your business, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Not enough money.
Not enough money. Okay. Good reason to budget. What else?
Spreadsheets.
What?
Spreadsheets.
Okay, spreadsheets would help. Why do we need to budget?
So we put the money in the right place, and it doesn't slither away.
Right, and we don't get paid every 2 weeks,
so it doesn't leak out.
Yeah.
Great. So being independent contractors, our budgets are going to vary greatly between all of us. Even in hot markets, agents will need to budget to cover themselves during the typical slower seasons, as well as the occasional slumps as well. And there's a couple things to look at. One is your financial budget. The other thing we'll get into a little bit later is time budgeting. So with your budget, a lot of what you'll have in common with other agents are kind of your fixed budgets. What are your fixed budgets when it comes to your business?
Like your cell phone and
Yep.
I guess
Cell
certain
phone.
marketing things.
The
Like
MLS dues.
The office desk fee.
Marketing.
So yeah, so we do have a technology fee. We don't have a desk fee with our offices. Another thing we need to budget for is gas as well. I've heard stories about agents getting in the business. They get a up call. They don't have enough gas in their car to go meet the client to open the home. So that's another thing we have to budget for. And those are kind of our fixed budgets that will be the same for all of us. But being independent contractors, there are some things that we budget for our business that are completely different. So what kind of things do you budget for outside of those fixed budgets? And this is what's going to vary greatly between us.
A bookkeeper, CPA.
Okay,
I do my
yeah.
own books, but I used to pay for it.
Okay, great. Yeah, make sure they're accurate. So CPA, which is good too, because you have to budget for Uncle Sam, right? Budget for our taxes, which we should be doing quarterly. So we just don't get that huge tax bill come April 15th. And that's something to keep in mind, is when you do receive a commission check, you do have to budget for your taxes as well. I know if you're the typical agent, that commission check is spent right when you have mutual acceptance. I know I'm one of those agents. It gets spent right away. What are some other things that we budget for?
I found my list here. The MLS dues, $240 twice a year. Realtor dues, training for our clock hours. I've got SRES, Senior Real Estate Specialist dues that I pay every year. Home Services of Washington, you know what our monthly sales billing is. That changes a little. Things like GoDaddy, business cards, calendar expenses, all those kind of things. So those are some of the fixed ones. And,
Okay.
and cell phone and internet service, that kind of thing.
Do you do this weekly, monthly, yearly? How do you budget, Bruce?
I plan it, I kind of divide it out so I know about what it's going to cost per year. Some of those fixed monthly things are about $650 a year, $650 a year. No, monthly. I'll add it up.
Okay.
So if you don't put them on paper or something like that, then they come up as a surprise. You know, you don't think of it until it's due.
Okay, good.
So-
So your
And
expenses.
then a lot of them I put on auto pay, so it gets handled.
So you know ahead of time what your fixed budget is for the year, right?
Sort of. I mean, within a range.
Oops. I think I'm freezing up a little bit on my end. I didn't hear you, but my
Oh,
question again.
within a range. I mean,
Okay.
cell phone varies a little bit each month, but you know, realtor dues are the same most of the time.
So for
And,
your real estate expenses, you know exactly how many transactions you need to cover your fixed budget.
Sure.
Okay, great. So you have a baseline. So once you know what your budget is, okay, beyond that, this is how much I'm gonna take home and actually have for my other expenses. Okay, one of our seasoned agents in the office here at West Seattle, he's been in the business, I'm just gonna say 20 plus years. I've been in 20 years and he's been in a lot longer than me. So he was around during the Great Recession. And one of the things he mentioned was, you know, to budget at home before budgeting your business. So if times do get tough, he recommends, okay, look at where you can budget at home. Because in real estate, you have to put money in to get a return. And at the minimum, your fixed budget. So that comes to, you know, you have to think, okay, do I pay for my Netflix or do I put that extra 15, 20 bucks towards marketing? Because you're going to get a return on anything you expend in marketing. You're going to get that back. Old saying goes, it takes money to make money. You know, we've all heard the saying from college students. They're always on a top ramen budget. You know, sometimes, yeah, maybe we have to look at, okay, can we, our dining out, can we budget there? Because if your dining budget is $100 a month, some millennials, it might be $500 a month on dining out. That's just kind of the culture there. But if we can look at, okay, if I take this money and invest it in myself, invest it in my business, I should be getting a return on that investment. So if you do look at budgeting, always look at, okay, what are my fixed expenses? Okay, where can I cut in other areas? One thing with Berkshire Hathaway, we have some amazing tools to help you with your budget, especially on the back end of your website. We have automated reports. I'm sure you've heard of PIP, Property Investment Profile, Market Tracker. You know, these are things you can go put in and do automatically and send out to your clients in sphere of influence. And that's not costing you anything extra. We have a CRM as well. You can set up drip emails and do email campaigns, which won't cost you anything extra. We have newsletters that can be sent out via email, or you can send that out on social media as well. We have a lot of tools for social media. If you go into marketing and graphics on the resource center, There's a lot of pre-made items that you can post on social media. You can put it on Facebook, Instagram, email. Another thing, bulk mail. So we both have bulk mail for both discounted rates for both the Burien and West Seattle office. Corfac. So with another great tool is Corfac to send out postcards, create flyers. And with that it's 50% off up to $100 per month. So if you spend $100 with Corfac, you'll get $50 back. You spend $200, you'll get $100 back, and that's per month.
Yeah, the key to Corfac, thanks, Russ. I know we said that I wanted to point this out, but the thing with Corfac is that very few agents are really taking advantage of this. The reality is that if we're giving you your $100 a month technology fee is coming right back to you if you reinvest it into marketing for yourself, right? So ultimately, at the end of the day, if you take your $100 that you pay for your technology fee and just figure, hey, I'm gonna spend that into my marketing, you'll get that money back instead of it just going away. So you have a very interesting opportunity, a good opportunity to basically get that money back just by investing $100 into yourself every month. So not taking advantage of that seems kind of silly when it comes to your opportunities to market and to market on a budget.
Where can you access that?
Well, you go to Corfac for the postcards, and ultimately all you have to do is you make your own order, you do it up however you want, and then send us the bill. Right. Okay. So if the bill comes in, like Russ said, if it comes in at $100, let's say, great, you're going to give the bill. In your case, you give it to Jody or Maura, and they will do a reimbursement for you for 50% of it. So if you do, let's say your first bill is $100, you got reimbursed $50. Let's say you did that on June 1st, and if you did on June 20th, you did another $150, right? You get another $50 because the 100 is your limit of what the company will match back. But so that's how that would work. So you don't have to do it all in one order. You can do it over several orders, or you can do it all in one. Doesn't matter.
Just because I'm super new still. Is that like in the back end of the website, or is it like Corfac.com, or like where do I go to?
Yeah, I don't think it's in the backside. I don't know. It might be in the backside of the website, but just go to Corfac.com. It's the same as if you bought them anywhere else you found on the internet. And in fact, if you find marketing, if you find postcards, we're talking about specifically postcards, right? Mm-hmm. So if you order other things, it's not going to apply. It applies for postcards to market either yourself or your listings. And but if you found postcards somewhere else and you're like, hey, I really like postcards.com or something, I don't know, we would be happy to do that as well. It's not so much, but Corfac, the thing about Corfac is that it has a return because it's kind of tracking. So you set it up where ultimately, if they go to the website, if somebody gets your postcard and they make action on it, or they go to that link or whatever, then you'll get information and you'll know that people are connecting with your marketing.
Okay.
So we like we've kind of fallen into that as a good kind of a staple and a go-to right now. But if you have other ideas, yeah, totally open.
And how do you spell Corfac? Is it
Corfact?
Cor?
Corefact.
Okay.
Is that right, Russ?
Yeah. Let me see. If you can continue, Tay, I will try and pull up the link and I'll put it in the chat room.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah,
1 second here.
It's just Corfact.
I'm not very tech savvy, so it might take me just a second.
Yeah. So at any rate, yeah, there you go, Andrea. Yeah, you've got it there. So again, I mean, when we're talking about budgeting and we're talking about trying to figure out, well, how much should I spend a year? Should you budget $1,200 a year for postcard marketing? Well, that's up to you. You do have to spend it to get it, right? Ultimately, your $1,200 becomes $2,400, right? So is that a good marketing tool or opportunity? I mean, I would say yes, if you do it consistently and in a way that is intentional. I think that it can be, for sure, a good investment. It's a great opportunity for your farm. It's good for, just listings just sold around your farm. If you've got more questions about that, that's maybe a topic for another day, but I'd love to chat with you about, that and consistency and how that kind of works. And also, I mean, in my estimation, postcards, I know we're kind of getting in a rabbit hole, but postcards are really, really good if they're followed up with other marketing activities. But postcards by themselves, it's just kind of a throw it on a wall and see if something sticks, right? A law of averages thing. And that's great and that's fine. But for me personally, if I'm going to spend $1,200 a year in marketing with postcards, I probably want to do stuff that comes in behind it and backs it up, right? So I'm going to want to maybe door knock that neighborhood that I'm sending the postcards to, right? Maybe some pop buys or things of that nature, right? I definitely want to do open houses in that neighborhood, right? So they see my postcard, they see my open house sign. I've stopped by their house and dropped something off once or twice a year. There's different things that you can do to cultivate really a farm, right? And rather than just passively writing a check and sending postcards, just like anything, if you can I can write a check all day long, but if I write a check and it has meaning because I do other things to follow it up, then that money goes a lot further, has a lot more value, will bring a lot bigger return. So that's my big recommendation with postcards. All right, I'll jump out again.
Great, thanks, Tate. So I did post that link in the chat, everyone. And for those who are listening, it's www.corefact.com/C. And that is currently in the chat room.
/C, right?
/C.
You said backslash, but it looks like / is what you
Oh,
put.
sorry. Yeah, just copy and paste from the chat.
Okay.
Thank you, Bruce. And one other thing, just to go along with what Tay was saying with CoreFact, let's say you are budgeting. Let's say you have one listing that's coming out. Let's say it's towards the end of the month. With those, because you get a $100 credit per month, if you have a new listing coming up towards the end of the month, send out double postcards. Send out so $200 worth at the end of the month, so you get your $100 credit. And then at the beginning of the next month, send out the other batch of your just listed postcards, and you get the other credit of $100 a month. So that's my tip to you. If you're trying to budget, send your first batch at the end of the month, next batch right at the first of the month, if you have a listing coming up towards the end of the month. Kind of stretch your dollar for that one listing and take advantage of that $100 per month. One other agent, newer agent for the West Seattle office, one thing he did, just being a new agent, was he always did the weekly event planner. So no matter what, he would send it out every week to his sphere of influence, his family and friends, just because that was his way of making those touches every week, and it didn't cost him anything. So, really look at the Berkshire Hathaway tools and what they have to offer, because if you are trying to budget, there's so many tools that are there for you to use that are free. So really look into those. I had mentioned the Resource Center. There's a lot of marketing and graphics in there. Excuse me. And then, okay, what else can you do as agents that doesn't necessarily cost you anything? Newer agents, what are you guys doing?
I was saying social media. I didn't know if it went through.
No, yeah, absolutely. Social media.
Or
It's
phone
free.
calls. Phone calls are free.
Yep. Okay. Open houses, although they may be virtual now, live virtual open houses. That's something to consider as well. One of our Zoom rooms was on open houses, but that's kind of the new norm. We don't know when we'll be able to do face-to-face open houses, anytime soon. So one thing, start practicing. COVID might be here for another year. Start practicing on your live virtual open houses. They don't cost you anything. Kay mentioned door knocking earlier.
I gotta say it again too. Door knocking. I mean, and also now with COVID and stuff, clearly we're not trying to go into somebody's house and wear a mask and be respectful. But I'll share with you, I'm actually going to personally do some door knocking again, and I don't market for sales, guys. I mean, it's fall from the sky business from before, but I listed my brother's townhouse, which I got by door knocking for him in a little complex. He would only live in that complex. So I went and door knocked it. We sold it in a day on last Friday. And a friend of mine calls up and says, hey, I want to buy that. And I said, it's too late. It's gone. And so guess what I'm going to do this evening? I'm going to go and knock those same doors I knocked 2.5 years ago for my brother. I'm going to knock it for this friend of mine and see if something falls, right? But the reality is that knocking those doors, it took me less than an hour. I hit probably 45 doors, talked to probably 16 people, 17, 18 people, and sold a place to my brother because of it. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. If you have a buyer in an area, it's a really great tool, right? Because you have something of value to offer. You can knock the door and say, hey, I have a buyer who's looking for something in this area. Have you thought at all about selling within the next year? Right? And if they don't, it's done. It's over. You go to the next one. But you have something of value for that right person at the right time. So I love door knocking right now. We used to do it all the time. Bruce, I know, Bruce, you've done door knocking in your day. And people, we used to do it all 20 years ago. I mean, when I started, people were doing it all the time. And it's really kind of fallen away for a lot of reasons, but really not good reasons. So I think people need to get out there and do it. I think that homeowners are more susceptible and open to talking to somebody knocking on their door right now than they were, in the last decade. I think it's kind of, it kind of was hot and then it went away. And now I think you can get a lot done that way. So anyway, yeah, I'm big on that.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Because as agents, we can go out and door knock and keep social distancing. We can knock on the door, ring the doorbell, take 3 or 4 steps back and have a conversation. And right now, I think a lot of people out there are looking for that face-to-face communication. We've been quarantined for so long. People want to go out. They want to communicate with people and have conversations outside of their family members, inside their home for the last 3 months. So, hey, try it.
Russ?
Yes.
I just watched a video and it was a lady who she started her business 15 years ago, and she talked about door knocking, but adopting specifically a 500 house neighborhood and then just really focusing in on that neighborhood. So is that a good idea?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Anytime you can target an area and farm it and do it consistently, I highly recommend it. And I think that number 500 is a good goal, because with this business, it's a numbers game. So you have to have so many touches to get a result. Let's say you get 1 result out of every 50 touches, then you're looking at, if you hit 500 homes, you should be at least getting 10 listing appointments minimum.
And she was talking about how she
So,
had a notebook and she would even write everybody's response. Like if somebody slammed the door in her face or but she wouldn't give up. And she kind of got this reputation of being that kind of pushy, kind of annoying sales agent, but she got a listing that way because she got this reputation of being persistent. And then someone was like, well, you don't want to call her. She's so persistent. And then that made somebody call her because it's that's exactly who I want. So I wanted to share that.
Yeah, no, that is great, especially if you can follow up with your postcards to that neighborhood, follow up with open houses. If you don't have a listing, but you have one of your colleagues have a listing near there, hold that open when we can do open houses. Obviously, we can't do it now, but when the time comes, put your signs out in that neighborhood, even if the listing's a half mile away. It's just all about the exposure that you're getting for your name. So I think that's really good to have a goal of 500 and consistently work that neighborhood. No, thank you. One other thing, you'll hear this often. It's one of our best tools that's underutilized is because name tags. Wear your name tag everywhere. You know, whether you're going to Starbucks, grocery store, it's a conversation starter. People ask you about it. Oh, you're in real estate. You know, how's the market? You know, those are questions you're going to get asked just from wearing your name badge. Other things I recommend is learning and reading. Okay, it doesn't cost you anything. Clock hours. Here at Berkshire Hathaway Northwest, we have free clock hours for both the West Seattle and Burien office. Every month, we're offering free clock hours, and that has held true for the last couple of years I've been here. I think maybe only 1 month, and that was in the last 3 months, we didn't have clock hours due to COVID. But other than that, we were having minimum of 2 per month. So take advantage of the free clock hours and learn as well. Any more questions or comments? I'd love to hear anyone else's input as far as budgeting for your business.
I just have a comment on your name tag thing. I bought this shirt off of Etsy for going to the grocery store so that if I forget my name tag, it has my name on it.
There you go.
Nice.
It was like 15 bucks.
Awesome. I love it.
Nice. Nice. I've got a question. How much do people spend for different things in their real estate business, right? Like how much are you spending on your marketing? How much are you saving and putting aside for different things? Does anybody have or want to share that?
I just recently bought polo t-shirts like you, Tay. It's funny, I told Ryan, I sent Ryan a picture of like my baseball cap and my polo tees, and he's like, okay, Tay. And I was like, yep, I'm branded, like that's gonna be me.
Right? I actually never did this before, but about 6 months ago, I just went, you know what? I mean, I'm out there so much, there's no reason, especially in my
They're
position,
40% off right now. So I was like, you know what? I donated a bunch of my clothes, and I went and I searched email, and I was like, this is worth it to me. And I got a bunch of polos. So my new uniform.
No, that's good.
I really like those polos. I have one that I got when I signed on that I actually wear a lot.
Yeah, for sure. How much do you know what you should be budgeting for, like for marketing? Like how much of your income should you be putting towards marketing?
I got a suggestion from someone as a new agent for your first year or so to take 25% of your commission checks and put them aside for like the year. But
to put them aside for the year for what?
Like for marketing expenses specifically, to take 25% and specifically for your first year to use that to do like a huge push.
Okay. Who else has heard stuff?
I'm trying to spend as little as possible.
As little as possible? Okay. All right. Cassandra, what about you?
I haven't heard anything, but I've been doing mailers, and I'm spending about $55 every month on my mailers. So I don't know. I haven't invested any money in the t-shirts, but I think I will now that I know that they're discounted. And I'm just gonna, whatever I'm hearing everybody else doing, I'm just gonna follow suit until I'm successful.
Jessica, do you know, do you want to put in the comments maybe where you bought those? Because there's a lot of different places you can get Berkshire Hathaway gear, and some of them are good and some of them aren't so great.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the one that advertises to our email, so I'll post a link.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Generally, I think Magnet Street has been really responsive. They had a big display at the convention, but they're a good place to get magnets when we have sports teams going and so on.
Sure. If I can, I'll throw out a couple of ideas as far as budgeting for marketing, like dollars. Or Russ, were you going into this?
Oh, go for it.
I know you were about to go into budgeting time, which I think is awesome idea to talk about here with this topic. So I know you're heading there, but before we get there, so a rule of thumb that is kind of out there, that's a bad saying too, but something that you kind of hear out there for real estate agents for marketing dollars is 10%. is that 10% going back into your marketing from your business, from your income. Now, when I started, that's not 20 years old, like from when I started, although I think it was pretty similar back then. But now there's different ways to use your marketing money, right? Now you're, instead of spending money on the Seattle Times, let's say, right, maybe you're boosting stuff on Facebook or, you know, doing things like that. I think 10% is a really good number to focus on, especially when you're an experienced agent, right? If you made $50,000 last year, then $5,000 of that should go into marketing yourself, right? Now you want to spend wisely. So if you're like, hey, I've never really done that, and where do I put my 5,000, or I mean 100,000, where do I put my $10,000? Russ or I would love to help you with that and chat about different things, and we won't get too much into that now, but 10%. But that being said, Andrea, I think it's really interesting that 25% that you heard, that can be great. But my recommendation for new agents on dollars for marketing themselves is as close to zero as possible. And the reason that I say that is because as a new agent, if I dump a ton of money into marketing and I'm buying Zillow ads and I'm, you know, all this stuff, right? And I'm getting all these leads. Am I really ready to facilitate those leads? Am I really ready to represent those people? Am I really ready to take those leads and convert them, right? It's one thing to buy a lead. It's another thing to convert it into a client that's a transaction, right? And so maybe if you're saving it and putting it aside for the first year, but not necessarily utilizing it, that could be. I think it's much more a thing for new agents to have a really low budget and really focus on growing your skills, growing the things where you're going out there, the things that Russ is telling you about, right? Your name tag and your door knocking and your, you know, all these different things that really cost nothing or next to nothing as you're building your business. Work your SOI really hard that first year and really start to get established with, you know, with some roots and get some confidence and some transactions and so some conversions on leads, and then go spend more money to bring in higher quantities of leads, because at that point, then you're more capable of actually handling them, right? You don't want to spend a whole bunch of money on things you can't handle right out of the gate. So anyway, just those are some ideas and some thoughts that I have kind of collected over the years from different speakers and different gurus and folks that are in our offices and do our business. But you know, I think you know, long term, somebody who's been in the business for a while and is crushing it, like, you know, like Barb or like Charity or Angelica, or, you know, then maybe, yeah, you know, 10%, you want to find ways to invest that. But brand new out of the gate, let's focus on the things that cost very little, if anything, first, and go from there. I think that's generally going to be your best bet.
Yeah, no, thanks for that.
Hey, I have a real quick question about that.
Sure.
Let's say you are spending money on getting all these leads. Can't you refer those leads for, like, say 30, 50% of that?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. As a new agent, yeah, I mean, I there are people who have a real estate career who are real estate brokers who actually never sell a house at all. I know of several people that are wildly successful at creating internet content and web pages that draw in a lot of leads, and they have these, you know, and then they have an agent in different areas, you know, one here, one there, and they refer all of that business, and they ask for 25% or 50% or 20 to 30%, whatever it is, right, for those leads to someone that they work with, and ultimately those people never, ever sell a house. Right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out which angle I'm at, so yeah, I appreciate that.
So there's definitely an avenue of making money there if you know how to create leads through internet generation. Yeah, I mean, that could be a great way to do it. So yes, that's very, very possible. And if you're a new agent and you're getting too much, absolutely. Again, talk with your sales manager or myself. We can help you with ideas of ways that you can, you know, kind of partner up with people in a way that's effective and efficient for you, and also costs you a reasonable amount, not getting, you know, not kind of taking a bath on the value of your leads.
Absolutely. Great. Thanks, Tay. And thanks for your questions and comments, everyone. So a couple more things as far as budgeting. One thing to consider as well, note cards. You know, write thank yous, happy birthday cards, anything, just stay in touch. It's note cards aren't sent out as much. So when someone does receive a note in the mail, you know, they take the time to read that. And it's a little bit more cherished than maybe a quick email where they glance at it on to the next email. So I really highly recommend note cards, especially for if you just ran into someone for the first time in a long time. Send something out. Send out a birthday card as well. Send out thank you.
What I do is, oh, sorry, can I mention something that I do anniversary cards. So I do a 3 months, 6 months, and then a year for my clients. So it adds to multiple touches throughout the year.
Yeah, no, that is great too, because especially a lot of times with agents, once the deal closes, they lose touch. And that's when you want to stay in touch more, because you just help them buy, you know, maybe their first home, an investment property. They are so excited and happy. You need to stay in touch with them, because it's definitely the best time, because they're going to want to refer you. But if you're out of sight, out of mind, no, they aren't going to be referring you. So definitely that's great. You know, have those touch campaigns after the closing. Stay in contact, because they will want to refer you. So appreciate that. One thing for me, as far as my budget that I always look at ROI, your return on investment. And one thing I always do every year, yearly calendar, the magnetic ones that are going to stick on someone's fridge. I make sure my photo business card up there, because with that, it's going to stay up there for a whole year. And I think you can budget that down to maybe 75 cents max per to send out. But with a calendar, it's going to stay up there for the whole year. I've gone over to friends' homes that were having a celebration. My card is on their fridge, and one of the other guests will like look at it, look at me, and say, "Hey, that's you." I'm like, yeah, I'm in real estate. So it's definitely a conversation piece. Other one I'll send out, I try a minimum football season is the magnetic sports schedules. So those are the two I see with a big ROI on, at least for me. So I'll send minimum the annual calendar, and I'll try and send out a sports one per year as well.
Can I ask a very millennial question?
Absolutely.
How do you get, I don't remember if I asked this, how do you get people's addresses now? Because a lot of us don't really ask for addresses to like send cards and stuff like that.
Okay.
There's a very millennial answer.
This question.
I'm going to say
have any
just
thoughts on this one,
ask.
what they do.
Anyone
want to chime in?
Just ask for it. Don't be shy. Anything you want, just ask.
What I do is I'll take a picture of like an envelope with my return address, and let's say it's on Instagram, and I'll take a picture and say, "Hey, I have something to send you in the mail. What's your address?" And most people are willing to give it to you.
That's a good idea.
That's good.
Remember too, you can go to the tax records, right? And you can pop in their name and see if it's obvious, where they are, what they're at, which is their address, if they're a homeowner, right? So you've got that. And I'd echo Jessica's just ask. The reality is that most people would actually give you their social security number if you ask with confidence. I mean, that's just the reality. So getting an address is actually not difficult. It's more difficult for you to just be confident in what you're asking for, right? If you can get to be confident in what you're asking for, you can get all kinds of things that you'll need in order to do that. So I've also seen people send messages on Facebook, private messages to people saying, "Hey, I'm updating my address book and I don't have your address," right? Things like that can be a good way to do it. Maria.
I wanted to share something. So talking about the football season calendars, I purchased like 300. So I was going to events because I like going to events, Hispanic events. So I thought that I was gonna, give all of them away. And to my surprise, not a lot of people, wanted them. So because they have magnet in the back, what I'm doing is I'm just removing this part. So I'm gonna use the rest of them. So not like, "Hey, here's my business card, just put it on your fridge. So if you have any question, my name is there." And also I send my digital business card as well. So this is not gonna go to waste. I'm gonna keep using them.
Yeah, great. So I know of one agent who bought, I think it was baseball for this 2020 season. And the agent was, hey, I'm not going to send it out. It's like, I told the agent, you have to send it out. Let them know that this is their COVID souvenir baseball schedule. There is no season. So it's COVID
This
souvenir.
is all you're gonna have for the baseball season, right?
It's
Aw,
all with the,
sad.
you start out with it.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, like, coming from a retail background, like, customer capture was huge. And I had to coach a lot of students and young people to get really comfortable being uncomfortable asking people for their personal information. So, like, don't be shy. This is your client. This is your business. Like, you got to push them to trust you. And yeah, that's building that relationship.
Yeah, definitely jumping out of your comfort zone. And speaking of comfort zone, one thing we budget as well is budgeting time. And sometimes we do need to step out of our comfort zone when it comes to our time and putting more time into our business. So daily schedule, just by a raise of hand, how many people have a daily schedule or routine that they follow for their business?
Yeah, I do have it, but yeah, I don't follow it like.
Yeah, you got to do it. You got to do it. If you want to be efficient, you've got to budget your time for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing with budgeting time, it's, you know, coming out of your comfort zone, coming out of your default, what you normally do if you aren't doing anything. It really, a daily schedule is important, you know, budgeting your time. Because I see with a lot of agents, the more time they have, the less they actually put into their business until they're hungry. It's like, oh, I got a car payment. I have to eat. You know, especially over the last like 3 months, a lot of agents were doing great. You know, we've had agents over the last 3 months have their best half of the year, have their best start to the year, and this is during COVID. And there's going to be some agents who are like, okay, I'm just going to stay put. I don't know what's going on. Sky is falling, and they're just at home watching TV, and they just kind of fall into that. But now, if your business isn't where you want it to be, you always hear Tay say this, you know, it's time to double up. You know, start with a schedule, because time is money as well. You know, think of your time as being valuable. Spend time investing in your business. Spend time, you know, working on your business, whether it's more calls, more opens, which would now be virtual opens. If you don't have a listing, find a colleague, do a live virtual open house for them. Come up with more face-to-face opportunities. You know, wear your badge when you're out. If you're going to have coffee somewhere, talk to somebody, just have a conversation. If you need clock hours, you know, double up, get as many clock hours done as you can now. Other thing is for time, just have it consistent. Every day, keep to a daily schedule, whether you're busy or whether you're not busy. If you're busy and you're having lots of showings, calls, whatever you're supposed to do at a time frame, let's say in the morning, do that in the evening. Don't slack off on any of your daily calls, your daily touches. You know, the slower you are, the more you should be putting into your business. Let's see, veteran Bruce, are you still here, Bruce? I got a question for Bruce. Are you here, Bruce?
It's like you stepped away.
While we're waiting for Bruce, I just
Okay.
want to say, like, I send my clients these, so I bought like the Garfield, and they're just funny. So it's like, I'm not sending them postcards with a meaning. It's just like, guess who's email? Like, and this one says, "Hey, this beats another bill."
What is that?
Is that just a
Garfield.
postcard?
Yeah, they're just postcards that I send them after a transaction or when I'm thinking about them. I've been sending a lot more during COVID to my clients.
Nice, that's cute.
That's great. That's great.
Hey,
Uh,
Russ. I think I sent to the group a link to Teldon calendars, and I screenshotted it. I don't know if somebody wants to check to see if they could get it in the attachments, but I've been using Teldon calendars for a couple decades. But there's one thing that I really like about them versus anywhere else. If you can open the attachment, you can see that your name goes in the middle of the calendar. Because if I get a calendar from somebody and I like the pictures and their name is at the bottom, I'll simply cut their name off and keep the picture, keep the calendar. But with the Teldon ones, your name is in the middle, so they can't cut it off. I mean, I guess you can come up with a sticker to put over it, and people love them because they're big enough that they can write things, what's happening and what they need to do in their life on a given day. And that's my biggest retention thing for people. They love them. They're expensive, but they're worth it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you, Barb.
Sure.
Because I know my answer to this, and I'll ask Tay the same question. Knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your first couple of years being in the business, would you put more time and effort into your business?
No, because in the beginning, I was just totally on my business. But that was when we had microfiche, we had dot matrix computers, we didn't have color photos, we had books that came out once a week, and we only got the book for West Seattle. And, you know, I was 110% invested. There was nothing more I could have done. Now it's like, it's harder for me to keep up with the technology and everything, that I find it actually more difficult to work now than when it was so simple, because people really needed us back in the old days, and now they can find so much information online, and it's completely different.
Yeah.
But it's all the time and effort that you got to put in there. And I just am doing an estate market analysis for somebody that's been on my SOI since 1987. It's just a matter of keeping in touch with these people forever until they either die or list or, you know, need you.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So basically, you're in 110% from the get-go.
I was, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I know for myself, I started out coming in part-time to real estate, had a young family, but looking back to where I did make that full-time transition, you know, I think I would have worked twice as much, 3 times as much as I did, you know, just to build that solid foundation, because I had a little bit of time, because my business wasn't where it needed to be. Going back, I probably would have, like I said, doubled up my time, tripled up my time, because I had the time building the foundation for my business, you know, building a better sphere of influence, getting more training, getting designations. Because when you build that solid foundation for your business, that's what's going to help you, you know, in the long run. You look at a lot of the veteran agents, I'm speaking primarily for the West Seattle office, those who have maintained their business and they're always at the top, built their foundation early, you know, and they stayed consistent. So for me, if I went back, I would have built my foundation for my business a lot quicker with the time I had, because I had more free time. So that's just my experience. Tay, you know, we came on, you know, pretty close to about the same time. Yeah. What are your thoughts if you were to go back and build your business?
Oh, 100%. So there's a couple things that I would have done much, much differently. One thing that I would have done differently is that I would have budgeted time in the morning to do my lead gen. So because see what happens, so people like they'll set time for lead gen, but if it gets set in the afternoon, by the time you get to the afternoon, all kinds of things can happen, right? Anywhere from, you know, the whirlwind of, oh my gosh, you know, I just, you know, had something come up and now I've got to go, lead gen can wait, or won't be able to be done today, or whatever, to, you know, gosh, I'm exhausted by the afternoon. I'm tired. I had lunch and I'm just not feeling like doing the lead gen, right? Put the things that are the most important, and the things that, if you had a list of 10 things to do, the things that you want to do the least are probably the things that are the most important, right? I mean, can we, like, I think generally that's probably true. So, and lead gen is something that we all kind of, you know, it's the most important thing in our business, or one of the, most important thing. And yet we kind of try to shy away from it. So I would have set my time in the morning to do lead gen. I was just thinking this morning about how, or it wasn't this morning, last night, about how I had several years. I've been doing this. This is my 19th year. I'm starting my 19th year right now. I had many years in the middle, especially years 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, in there where I was doing great and I was doing enough business, but I could have done so much more. I mean, I'm thinking about times when I was at home. My wife would go to work. I hope she doesn't watch this video because she doesn't know this still to this day, but she would go to work and I would stay home and I'd play video games. I mean, come on, like, how dumb is that, right? No, it was fine because we had 2 great incomes. I was still selling plenty of houses, and I thought well, you know, I can do this. I have that flexibility. I would have never done that, right? I would have made myself be my own CEO, right? I would have looked at it a little bit differently. I was also young. I'll give myself a little bit of an out there, but at the end of the day, really, I mean, you've got to structure that time. I do so much more. I can get so much more done since I started managing, because I have a set schedule and expectations and everything else. I mean, guys, I mean, I sell more houses while managing than I could before, because I set a schedule and I hold myself to it, right? If you're thinking to yourself, oh, it's hard to get to the sales meetings every single week. No, it's not. I do it every week. Right? I mean, and I have tons to do, right? But you set yourself and you make it happen. You make the things your priority. So I would have set my priorities a little bit different. I would have done that. And then I also would have stayed away from doing things that I wasn't good at, right? One thing that comes to mind is I flipped a house that we lived in. We bought it, we to the studs, and I did a ton of work in that house, and that was a mistake. I should have hired it out and just focused on real estate. I would have made much more money. More sales in the future as well from the business that I didn't do, right? Focus on the things that you're really good at. Don't focus on trying to save money here or there or do things that you're not great at. I wouldn't have spent any time on technology because I'm terrible at technology, right? I would have doubled down, tripled down on other things that I was good at. So find those things, set your schedule, especially your morning hours.
One thing that we did back in the day, there was a program that came through Seattle. It was called Floyd Wickman Sweat Hogs. And I would say 30% of the office signed up for that. And it was a great bonding experience. Were you in that, Tay?
No, that was before me. I know what you're talking about, but I didn't participate in that. It was before me.
Okay, well, I have the tapes. I don't know. Yeah, tapes or CDs. I don't know which. But one of the things that was being part of that group, we met once a week in a hotel. I mean, it was a big seminar thing. And you had to every day make enough phone calls till you got an appointment. And if you didn't do that every day, when you came back to class next time, you had to wear a hat that everybody knew you didn't get your stuff done. And it really was kind of, you know, I mean, sometimes it happens. Life comes up and you can't do it. But it was interesting. But I have those tapes. I just Googled. I don't think that he does them anymore. It looks like he passed it all off to somebody else. But that might be something, if anybody's interested in doing something like that, I can share the tapes with you.
You know, Barb, you said something, and I would definitely recommend this while budgeting time and kind of how to do things. If I could start over again, I would get someone else who is as hungry as me as dialed in as me, that had the same goals as me, and I would work with that person, not as a partnership, right? But I would work with that person while building my own business. I'd grab a Jessica, I'd grab an Andrea, and I would say, hey, look, let's together. I really want to do this. You really want to do this, but it is so much easier to do it together, where you've got that built-in accountability and you know, the pressure of you don't want to let yourself down. You don't want to let that other person down. I used to teach a class for Success Start, and we used to talk about how we're so horrible as human beings about being accountable to ourselves, and we are not accountable to our spouses, significant others, kids, parents. We're not. We think that we think that we are, we should be, but we're not. And the reality is that we can be much more accountable to somebody else who's doing the same things we're doing. And so I would have grabbed that person and I would have said, hey, let's do this together independently in our own, make our own businesses, but let's call together at the same time. Let's door knock together at the same time. Let's, you know, laugh together. Let's cry together. Let's grow together. That would have been great. We had a great team of newer agents in the West Seattle office, so I had some of that, but I would have doubled down on that. I would have gotten really, really serious about accountability and working with somebody specific that would help sharpen me as I help sharpen them.
I actually did that same thing when I had my photography business with another gal that had her own business, but we were local to each other, and we do at least bi-weekly coffee shop work dates to hold each other accountable. And for both of us, that was the most increase that we saw in our business, and even just being organized in our business. And that's like something that I've been wanting to do with this, but I haven't been in the office to like meet people enough yet.
Yeah, it's a little tougher here, but again, you can do it. You can do it on video, right? Now you haven't had a chance to really meet, like you said, you haven't had a chance to meet everybody real well. But I think if we're talking about time budgeting, I would budget time to meet, to connect, and to touch base every single day with somebody. I would, for sure.
No, great advice. Anyone else on budgeting? Time, finances?
Taxes.
Don't forget the taxes.
Always.
Yeah, I think I froze up there for a second.
Taxes makes everything freeze. Angelica was talking about taxes. You definitely want to budget and put away money for taxes, right?
There's actually, and I asked you about this, that company, I believe it's a money market. So they take a portion, however much you want, whatever percentage you set it, from your Berkshire Hathaway commission check, and they save it for you. And I can share the link for that.
Yeah, why don't you post the link? That's Durgalis is the name of the company, that Durgalis. And you'll see emails periodically from Megan about Durgalis, or you'll see an email from Durgalis. And yeah, that's a legit company that they usually come in once a year and talk to us and give agents an opportunity to do some investing that way, or facilitating taking some funds out of your checks into an account for you, so you just don't even have to think about it. You can be saving for retirement, you can be saving for taxes, you can have all kinds of different things set up for you, and it just comes out of your check so that you don't have to think about it. It's a cool setup.
We recently, I won't say recently, but within the last 6 months, had a tax specialist come in, and I think collectively we bought a group of these like DVDs and these digital files that helped us with taxes. I think Holly was in charge of that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Holly did do that.
Yeah, and I know a bunch of us Venmo'd her some money. I still owe for that, but that's something that I know is like we have in our office collectively, a way to do your taxes in the most efficient way.
Yeah, it's training videos, or it's videos on different ways that real estate agents can save on their taxes, and opportunities that you may not know are there for real estate agents, right?
Right.
Yeah.
If I could also add, for those who want to track their miles easily and any other expenses, there's this really good app. The name is it's actually Mile IQ.
I use that one.
And I know some of you have heard of it, but it's really good. It's automated. You don't have to, necessarily do anything. So I highly recommend it.
Can you put that on the text message?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll put it out there.
That was one of the things that the tax woman said, was that you need a sample of the year, but you only have to track your miles for 3 months. You don't have to track them for the whole year. So there's some people are they're working too much of their time away from their business trying to track all these different things. So there's just easier ways to do it. I mean, the app is a great way, but you don't have to do it for a whole year.
Yeah. Just make sure that you're not doing it over the 3 months of the year that you drive the least.
Like quarantine.
You're taking that 3 months and then you're going to extrapolate it out for a year. So
Love you, baby.
Want to make sure you're using a solid time of year. Springtime is probably one of your busier times in real estate, so that might be the time.
A realistic 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, one other thing I'd like to add that I skipped over earlier is you do have free advertising with AdWorks, from the company. So make sure your profile is updated and your phone number as well.
Yeah.
And the back end of the website, there are also discounted phone plans, whether it's AT&T, Sprint, I think T-Mobile as well. So there are discounts. There will be a tab at the back end of your office that says discounts. So look through there as well. That'll help you save some money. And other thing I'll add as well, before I close and just leave it for open discussion is, if you need any help, whether it's budgeting time, budgeting funds for your business, reach out to myself, Russ at the West Sale office, reach out to Nalani at the Beering office, reach out to Tay as well. Because we're here to help you guys and give you guys the best advice. There's a couple agents I've worked with where their income was good. They're closing deals, but they said, "Hey, I don't have any money. I'm nervous about my next transaction." And when we're looking at everything, it's just the amount that we're spending per transaction was way too high. So I was able to talk with them and say, hey, this is where we can come down on your expenses in this area. It was a little tough for them, but they slowly came down and saw that it's not always how much you make. If you're spending way too much, if you have a commission check of $6,000, but you're spending $2,000 on all your marketing, gifts, even before taxes, your commission check is going to be really little. So, we're here to help you guys and give you guys the best advice we can to help you with your business and be successful. So reach out anytime, all of you. Doesn't matter which office you're with. If you're in the Beering office, feel free to reach out to me as well. We're all in West Seattle. Feel free to reach out to Nalani. We're here for you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For sure. Well, Russ, I think maybe if we end, but I think I've got more time. If anybody has other questions, it seems like we were able to kind of get at some questions. If anybody has other questions, I'm happy to stay on and answer questions.
I just have to say that you guys will be proud of me. I asked for an address before I forgot the terms that you guys told me, and immediately got it. And she said that she should do it too because she wants to do Christmas cards. I got a good response.
Nice. Well done.
Nice.
Well done.
Great. And also for next week's Zoom room, we're going to have a couple special guests. You probably know them already. Jason Waugh and Melanie Weidenbach. So they're going to be talking next week. We'll talk about the topic tomorrow during the sales meeting. So make sure you show up to the sales meeting tomorrow. And it's going to be a great one next week.
Yeah. Now that's going to be the last one for the rest of the summer, right, Russ? The last Zoom room. Oh.
Yeah. We might throw one out on a special occasion, but yeah, take a summer break.
All right.
But feel free to send me an email if there's any topic you'd like to hear or go over for future Zoom rooms. feel free to send me a text or email.
Yeah, nice.
Hey, Russ, what about,
Yes.
can you do technology training on